Have you ever paused in the middle of a crowded room and felt a strange hush wash over you? A knowing that the life you're living is only a paper-thin slice of what's possible? Maybe it happens when the city goes quiet at 2 a.m., or when you're driving and the sky suddenly feels too big for ordinary thought. That nudge in your chest isn't anxiety or daydreaming. It's your deeper self knocking from the inside, asking if you're ready to remember. In the next few minutes, we'll open that door, pull back the curtain on the science and mysticism of quantum jumping, and show you why the most radiant version of you is already alive in the field right now, waiting for your signal. Stick around, because this journey could rewrite the way you see time, destiny, and your own biology. And if that stirs something in you, smash the subscribe button so we can keep leaping together. 1. The inner calling and the nature of the quantum field. There is a voice inside you that predates language. It whispered to you when you were a child, staring at clouds that looked like kingdoms. And it's still whispering now while you scroll through deadlines and grocery lists. It says, this isn't all there is. Modern culture trains us to dismiss that impulse as fantasy. Yet every mystical tradition and an expanding body of quantum research insists the impulse is pointing to something real, measurable, and infinitely vast. Physicists call it the quantum field, a seething ocean of energy where particles blink in and out of existence, entangled across light years, obeying probabilities instead of the rigid cause and effect we experience at human scale. Mystics call it the Akasha, the void, the mind of God. Different names, same idea. An intelligent backdrop that holds every possible version of reality, like unwritten code waiting to be compiled. You are not a spectator to that field. You are woven into its fabric. Each thought, each emotional pulse is a line of code that tells the field what to render next. Think of your daily life as a radio broadcast. Most people stay locked on one frequency, the familiar station of bills, traffic, and self-doubt. So they keep hearing the same song. Yet just a twist of the dial reveals entirely new stations already playing. The quantum field works the same way. The abundant timeline, the healed timeline, the wildly creative timeline are broadcasting right now at higher frequencies of emotion and belief. The whisper inside you is your built-in tuner urging, switch the channel. But tuning isn't purely mental. Neuroscientist turned mystic Dr. Joe Dispenza reminds us that thoughts wrapped in old emotions simply recreate the past. If you visualize abundance while bathing in the chemistry of scarcity, stress hormones, tight muscles, a clenched jaw, the field gets a mixed signal and reflects the dominant vibe, lack. Cellular biologist Dr. Bruce Lipton adds another layer. Your genes are like piano keys, and your emotional environment is the pianist. Change the environment, your inner soundtrack, and you change which genetic melodies play, influencing immunity, longevity, even the brightness in your eyes. So, why does the whisper feel both gentle and relentless? Because it emanates from the version of you that already lives in coherence, where thoughts, emotions, and body chemistry sing the same note. That version isn't a fantasy future. It's an existing probability waveform vibrating in the field. Each time you slip into daydreams of possibility, you momentarily phase into that waveform. Time stretches, ideas flood in, and you feel a crackling sense of rightness. That's not imagination. That's contact. Our mission in this article is to transform those fleeting contacts into sustained resonance. First, we'll dispel the pop culture myths that reduce quantum jumping to wishful thinking. Next, we'll dive into the hard science that explains why heartfelt emotion, not mere visualization, moves matter. Finally, we'll lay out a daily practice that aligns your brainwaves, heart rhythm, and biochemistry into a single coherent broadcast, powerful enough to collapse your chosen timeline into form. Before we continue, pause for one slow breath. Feel the subtle electricity in your fingertips, the pulse beneath your sternum. That's raw quantum potential humming through flesh and bone, reminding you that reality is not set in stone, it's set in signal. Ready to change the station? Let's step into part 2 and see how the observer effect makes your next thought a Genesis moment. 2. Demystifying quantum jumping, from pop myth to cellular reality. The term quantum jumping has been tossed around so casually that it now sits next to crystal charging and horoscope memes in social media quick fix culture. That's a problem, because when something sounds like glitter-sprinkled fantasy, we miss the truly revolutionary science beneath it. So, let's strip away the Instagram gloss and look at what reputable researchers and your own nervous system suggest is actually going on. First, a quick physics refresher. On the subatomic stage, particles don't behave like billiard balls. They act more like probability clouds. Until measured, an electron exists in multiple states at once, a principle called superposition. The instant you observe it, the cloud collapses into a single, concrete, here and now. This is the famed observer effect, and it's not New Age hype, it's standard quantum mechanics. Nobel laureate Werner Heisenberg framed it this way. The act of observation is not passive. It literally creates certain properties of the particle. In other words, reality on the smallest scale is participatory. Now scale that idea up to the human experience. Dr. Joe Dispenza's brain imaging studies show that meditative states can push the brain's electrical activity from frantic beta waves into slow, synchronized gamma bursts, a sign that large regions of the brain are firing in harmony. Participants report sensations of stepping outside time. On fMRI scans, those moments correlate with heightened activity in the pineal region and a quieting of the limbic survival centers. Translate the data, the mind has shifted from rehearsing yesterday's fears to broadcasting an entirely new electromagnetic signature. That signature, according to the observer effect, is the measurement that tells the quantum field which probability wave to crystallize next. But what about the body? Enter Dr. Bruce Lipton, whose epigenetics work dismantles the old belief that DNA is destiny. In his landmark experiments, identical cells exposed to different emotional chemical soups developed into radically different tissues, some healthy, some diseased. The takeaway is blisteringly clear. Environment programs expression, and your primary environment is the hormonal cocktail triggered by your daily thoughts and feelings. If your inner soundtrack is anxiety, cortisol floods your cells, genes for inflammation flare up, and your biology observes a stressful timeline into being. Swap that soundtrack for heartfelt gratitude and coherence, and the chemistry flips. The same genetic keys play a symphony of healing and growth instead of alarm bells. So, when gurus say, raise your vibration, they're echoing a measurable truth. Emotion is chemistry, chemistry is frequency, and frequency is a broadcast that the quantum field cannot ignore. Picture two radio towers on the same hill. One beams out static, worry, self-criticism, scarcity, and the other transmits a clear jazz melody of trust and expansion. Both towers exist, but the one you tune your dial to becomes the soundtrack of your reality. The trick most people miss is that they try to change the song by yelling at the speaker rather than switching the station. They affirm abundance while vibrating fear. They visualize love while marinating in unworthiness. The quantum field dutifully collapses the dominant broadcast. Static in, static out. Let's bust another myth. Quantum jumping is not thinking hard until the universe delivers Amazon Prime style. Mental force alone rarely overrides the 95% of behavior driven by subconscious programming. That's why a single visualization workshop feels inspiring for a weekend, yet fizzles by Monday. Sustainable jumps require coherence, a state where brainwaves, heart rhythm, and hormonal signals line up like musicians following the same conductor. Heart rate variability research shows that coherent emotion, love, appreciation, generates a smooth sine wave pattern that can entrain the brain, lung rhythm, and even the electromagnetic field extending 3 feet outside your chest. When that field is smooth and strong, it becomes a laser-like measurement, collapsing higher frequency timelines with surgical precision. Still skeptical? Consider placebo surgery studies where patients healed as well as those who actually went under the knife, because their belief and the resulting biochemical environment told the body a new story. That's quantum jumping in a lab coat, a subjective inner state rewriting objective tissue. Here's the headline. Quantum jumping is the art and science of choosing which probability wave you'll observe into matter by orchestrating 3 levers: focus, elevated emotion, and embodied action. Focus is the spotlight of your attention. Emotion is the color filter tinting that light. Action is the feedback loop that tells your subconscious, this new reality is safe enough to stay. Pull any one lever alone and you get flickers. Pull all three in sync and you get a stable portal, an energetic wormhole, if you will, between the self you've been and the self you're becoming. Before we roll into hands-on practice, pause and check your signal. What station have you subconsciously had on repeat this week? What chemistry has that broadcast been bathing your cells in? No guilt, just data. Because in the next section, we'll build the daily protocol that retunes your entire biofield, aligns it with your highest broadcast, and makes the quantum field an eager co-producer in the movie called Your Life, Director's Cut. 3. Practice makes physics, daily protocols for embodied quantum jumping. You now know the circuitry, it's time to flip the breaker. Quantum jumping is less a single leap and more a disciplined rhythm. Think of it as energetic muscle memory. Below is a 3-phase daily protocol that wires focus, elevated emotion, and embodied action into one seamless broadcast, powerful enough to bend probability. Phase A. Prime the signal, morning, 10 minutes. 1. Wake before the world. Wakes you, roll out of bed before scrolling. Beta wave chatter is lowest right after sleep, making your brain pliable. 2nd, coherence, breath. Inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, eyes closed, attention on the heart. Within 90 seconds, your heart rate variability forms the smooth sine wave pattern that entrains the brain. 3rd, future self-rehearsal. Ask, how does the version of me who has already leapt feel in their body? Let one elevated emotion, gratitude, freedom, awe, flood every cell. Visualization is optional. Sensation is mandatory. Phase B, broadcast in motion, daytime, real-world play. 1. Micro anchors. Set 3 phone alarms with no text, just a bell. When each alarm rings, place a hand on your chest, draw 1 coherence breath, and silently name your chosen timeline. Freedom, abundance, vitality. That 30-second reset keeps your chemistry locked on the new station. 2nd, action. Audits. When faced with a decision, send the risky proposal, eat the sugary snack, text the ex. Ask, which choice is the natural move for my future self? Then do that even if it feels mildly ridiculous. Behavioral alignment tells the subconscious, the jump is real, keep rewiring. 3rd, feedback journaling. At lunch or mid-afternoon, note tiny synchronicities. An unexpected email, a stranger's compliment, an intuitive idea. They are return signals from the field. Logging them conditions your reticular activating system to notice more, accelerating momentum. Phase C, lock it in. Evening delta wave download. 1. Gratitude rewind. List 5 moments from the day, even small ones, where you felt aligned. Relive the sensations for 15 seconds each. Neuroscience shows the brain doesn't perfectly timestamp emotion, so you're effectively rebroadcasting high-frequency chemistry into sleep cycles when memory reconsolidates. 2nd, intention. Seed. Whisper a single declarative phrase. Tomorrow I wake already thriving. Your subconscious will spend the night problem-solving around that prompt. 3rd, melatonin gamma bridge. If you meditate before bed, keep the room nearly dark. Pineal melatonin surges in darkness. Combine that with slow breathing, and you can trigger transient gamma bursts, the neurological sweet spot, where inner imagery imprints the field most cleanly. Do this protocol for 30 days, and you'll create a bioenergetic habit loop. Coherent morning chemistry, real-world micro-proof, gratitude-anchored sleep. Each turn of the loop thickens the neural wiring and hormonal baseline of your chosen timeline until it becomes autopilot, your new default broadcast. Pro tip: stack ritual on routine. Attach the protocol to things you already do: coffee brewing, elevator rides, toothbrushing. Habit science calls this anchoring, and it sidesteps willpower fatigue by letting existing cues drive new behavior. Remember, coherence is not about forced positivity. It's about signal clarity. Feel anger? Fine. Acknowledge it. Breathe until the charge drops. Choose again. Every reset is another rep in the quantum gym, training your nervous system to recover coherence faster than old chemistry can hijack you. The gravity well tests relapses and how to stay in the new orbit. Picture two planets, old self Earth and future self Terra. The moment you blast off, Earth's gravity, your familiar emotions, habits, and social mirrors, pulls hard. These gravitational tests are not cosmic punishment. They're feedback checks asking, "Are you sure you want the new orbit?" Test number 1. Emotional whiplash. Out of nowhere, you feel a wave of doubt or irritability. Instead of self-shaming, label it. Withdrawal from my old chemical addiction. Then run a 60-second coherence breath. Biology taught the emotion. Biology can unteach it. Test number 2. Social echoes. Friends may say, "You've changed," often with subtle disapproval. That's old timeline frequency trying to tether you. Respond from the new broadcast. Reassure if you wish, but don't downshift your glow. Authenticity is the invitation for them to upgrade too. Test number 3. Reality. Pushback. Bills arrive, deals fall through, the scale stalls. The field is mirroring residual static. Double down on alignment instead of doubling down on hustle. Ask, what vibration was I emitting the last 48 hours? Adjust the broadcast, the reflection will follow. The 3R rule to restabilize. Orbit 1. Recognize the slip. Data, not drama. 2. Regulate with breath, posture change, or a 2-minute gratitude sprint. 3rd, rebroadcast the coherent emotion tied to your chosen timeline. Run the loop as many times as needed. Neuroplasticity doesn't count failures, it counts repetitions. Sustain with community and ritual. Humans are herd frequency beings. Surround yourself, online or IRL, with at least 2 people practicing similar alignment. Share wins and wobblies weekly. Collective coherence amplifies individual signal strength, much like synchronized fireflies lighting up all at once. Finally, keep a threshold trigger, a physical object, bracelet, stone, phone, wallpaper, that screams new timeline at a glance. When you catch yourself drifting, touch the object, breathe, declare your keyword, sovereignty, joy, wealth. That micro ritual yanks you from gravity's pull back into orbital flow. 5. Living rituals, stamping your passport to the new timeline. By now you've felt the crackle, those moments when your mood, mind, and body snap into a clean harmonic and the day seems to rearrange itself around you. Your mission is to turn those sparks into a steady flame. And the secret is ritual. Not incense and robes ritual, unless that speaks to you, but simple, repeatable cues that tell your subconscious, this reality is home now. Morning. Question, evening, answer. Place a sticky note on your bathroom mirror that reads, "Who am I choosing to be today?" 6 words that pull your future self-identity into the present tense while you're still groggy enough to answer honestly. At night, the mirror gets the echo question. How did I honor that choice? Your brain hates dissonance. If the answers don't match, tomorrow's behavior will twitch toward alignment without you forcing it. The 3-breath portal. Pick a doorway you cross dozens of times, your office entrance, the car door, even the fridge. Every passage becomes a micro-ceremony. Inhale gratitude, hold confidence, exhale doubt. 3 breaths, 6 seconds total. Do that 24 times a day, and you've installed a silent mantra into the architecture of your life. Kinetic affirmation. Words alone fade, movement encodes. Choose a tiny gesture, fist over heart, 2 fingers to temple, a grounded power stance, and pair it with a phrase that lights you up. I broadcast abundance. I lead with trust, whatever feels electric. Hit that gesture phrase combo whenever you send an email, open a meeting, or tap post. Neural circuits wire through repetition. Soon the gesture will auto-trigger the elevated state. Community beacon, quantum physics says entangled particles react instantaneously no matter the distance. Humans do, too. Text a like-minded friend your keyword each morning. They reply with theirs. That 10-second exchange creates social entanglement, 2 broadcasts amplifying each other across the field. Layer these micro-rites until they weave through your schedule like gold thread. You're not adding one more habit, You're scoring the soundtrack of your day, so the new timeline is impossible to forget. Remember, the universe isn't keeping score of length or complexity. It's responding to the clarity and consistency of your signal. Small, sharp rituals repeated relentlessly beat grand gestures performed once in a blue moon. Take a breath and listen. The whisper you felt at the start is louder now, isn't it? That's not me. That's you echoing back to yourself across the quantum field, confirming that the leap is already underway. All that remains is your daily yes. So, here's your closing ritual. Drop one word in the comments that embodies the timeline you are claiming. Freedom, vitality, prosperity, whatever makes your cells sit up and sing. Type it, feel it, and know the moment you hit send, the field receives the broadcast. If this journey cracked a door in your mind, smash subscribe and ring the bell so we can keep traveling together. New practices, fresh science drops, and real-life case studies land here every week, and I'd be honored to walk beside you. Because you weren't born to watch miracles happen to other people. You were born to be the miracle, daily, visibly, unapologetically. Now, step forward. The quantum is already rearranging to meet you.